more important question. So with your extreme fly killing capabilities and skills that you had to think or didn't have to think about, how many flies do you think you could take on
at one time, or just
simultaneously?
Okay, so like effectively
with one hand?
No,
like 2 hands.
Whole body expedition.
You're only going to be able to. Well, I mean, at most. I mean, and you'd have to be pretty ambidextrous for it. You could use both hands at the same time to do that same thing, but you can only deal with one fly at a time, because no matter what, when you're closing your hand, that's going to change the air current, whichever direction you're going, and all the flies are going to respond.
What if you use your whole body as a hand and you just air current?
You can't. How do you use your entire body? This is all solid. Your hand has the capability of doing it because you have a palm.
But you have
your
limbs,
fingers, but
bro.
you're coming in with your fingers. See, that's what you're not understanding. You're not using the palm.
I'm going to stand
the
up.
palm is here. You're coming in like this. That's the reason why when you saw me do that,
You're coming in like
you're able.
Welcome to the Sham Show.
The Sham Show. Oh.
You're able.
Welcome to the Sham Show.
I guess.
With Marco and Curtis. Today we have Knox.
Sorry, Knox. I was just lubing you up a little bit.
Knox knows.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, this is our buddy Knox. Knox knows.
Knox.
Chris Knox.
Well, thank you.
I don't even like. I'm gonna let you explain Knox.
Wow. Knox is a tough character to describe, but he's been with us a long time. He's like a vape wizard memory elephant.
Our perspective, but he's lived many lives.
Knox has lived many lives. He's like a cat that like got double the lives, and I don't know. He might be a robot because he doesn't die. He was supposed to die.
I really don't.
The state said he was supposed to be dead like twice.
So he's got 18 lives, and those were 3 of them.
At least. But think of how many other circumstances occurred subsequently.
Yeah, so
just
3 that we know of.
Yeah.
3 that we know of.
Yeah.
And we're here to find out more. Death experiences.
I mean,
that light's not on? Is that green? Not green.
I turned it off because it fucks with the.
Oh, we live, baby.
All right.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, he is! So anyways, I don't know, man. Like, I was just explaining to you guys how to kill a fucking fly, dude, with your hand. And like this, it's actually like once you get it down.
This is important.
Once you do it a couple times, well, it's just like mosquitoes, man. You know the quickest way to kill a mosquito and not get a mosquito bite when it bites you?
How's that?
You don't smack it.
Oh, you gotta.
Because when a mosquito bites you,
I haven't been able to do that.
See, when a mosquito bites you, it has to go in. Well, here's the thing, okay? So you literally, when a mosquito lands on you and it goes and it burrows in, so it's injecting its saliva in, right? And that gives it that numbing effect, which is the reason why usually by the time you feel a mosquito biting you, it's after the mosquito's already leaving. All right? So you're actually feeling it exit, not enter.
Oh.
Okay? So if you don't want to get the mosquito bite, like if you don't want to get that irritation, what you do is you let them, what you do is once they land on you, because your muscles are always reacting, you go limp and you let it do its job because it's super easy. So then they pump in less of that because they don't need to because you're not tense. So they pump in less of that. And once they're in, you can see them actually drink if you look at the back. Because once they're connected, they don't just leave just because you move.
Yeah, it's like a baby sucking on a
They're
titty.
in there. They take some time to get back out.
It's like a baby to a titty.
All right, so you can see if you're looking at them, you can see when they start to drink. Now you've got them because now they're clogged in. You just go like this. Okay, so say that a mosquito's biting here, you go limp, and then once it's in, and you can tell that it's actually feeding, you squeeze. And what that does is it tenses up all your muscles. It sends blood rushing to that area. It fills up the mosquito, pops the mosquito, but it also takes that saliva that they put back in and it shoves it back inside. So then you just got to wipe off the blood from the mosquito dying, and boom.
Can you do that again for the camera, the action?
You just squeeze.
Can you do it up? Like,
you just squeeze, bro. Like,
and for anyone
squeeze,
who's just joining
flex.
us, we're talking about killing mosquitoes, not masturbating.
Well, I mean,
not Dutch rudder.
I guess if you really like it rough, you can squeeze, dude. Like,
So
you gotta go limp first, and then squeeze.
I've tried that. I've had to land on.
Like, what kind of lube are we talking about here, man? Because like you'd have to use like a lot. And then what would it be like? It'd be like trying to grab like one of those weird water worm things where it just keeps sliding from your hand. Yeah. Like you go to squeeze and your body's just like. Yeah. It's like jerking off, and all you have to do is just do this motion.
Wow.
Right, squeeze instead of pull.
What a different dynamic.
I feel like this is something that needs to be put to the test. I'm going to suggest that Marco gives us a shot. Nah, man.
We don't need more pot though.
So back to the previous conversation. How many flies do you think you can take on?
Dude, seriously. Okay, so it really
give us a number, man.
There's one. That is an actual number.
So okay, you're saying that if 2 flies teamed up, you're fucking dead.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna die. It's not like a fly's gonna fucking kill you, dude. But
all right, but let's.
Well, you'll be able to kill one, and the other one will still be alive to annoy you.
All right. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. You know how like ants like work together to like kill shit. And
Yeah, but flies aren't like that.
All right, I know. But let's say that they are.
You're swarmed by
and
flies.
They're trying to like fucking spit on you to death.
Okay.
So how many?
One. Like, you want me to, like, one fly. You'll be literally, because of the way that a fly's anatomy works. Dude,
Max,
like, are we talking about a room of flies?
Well, first of all,
Like, are we talking about a room of flies? Because, I mean, at that point, all you have to do, because there's only going to be so much space, because flies aren't going to run into each other, dude. So there's only going to be so much space. So, I mean, effectively, the technique of, like, capturing a fly with your hand would probably, depending upon how many flies there would be, I mean, you could probably grab a whole handful of them and smash them against a fucking table at a time, dude.
So that's your weakness.
But flies?
Yeah.
Or just multiple flies?
So you're saying to run from flies?
No, never. You don't run from fucking flies. I just kill them. I don't even like take a breath when I do it. I don't have to think about it or nothing. It's just like second nature at this point. I've done it so many fucking times, man. Killing flies is super easy, dude.
Knox doesn't run from anything, not even the rain.
No, I do not. That doesn't make any sense.
I first met Knox when he came to my vape shop 5.5-ish years ago on like the second day that we were open.
Yeah,
And he came with Devin Furness. The trick god.
Was
the trick god.
the trick god.
And you guys came in, scoped me out, and you ended up, I don't know if it was the first time or the second time you bought a MacMod and RDA.
Second. It was the second time I came in.
You scoped me out first, and then came in, bought a MacMod and RDA.
Yep.
It was a Sentinel and a
Stellaire, dude.
And then you basically been bugging me ever since.
Yeah, I guess we could look at it that way. I've been bugging you ever since.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point there's got to be that irritation level, because there probably was a moment where you were like, what do I got to do to get rid of this guy? And then you just kind of accepted that you couldn't get rid of me unless I wanted to leave.
To be honest with you, I don't think I was ever trying to get rid of you. But I will say that you come on strong, of course.
Yeah.
And that's where Kurt comes in. Kurt met you probably, maybe a week after I did? Within a similar time.
Well, I would say it was a couple weeks, probably.
Probably something.
Like, I want to say like 2 or 3 weeks after.
And Kurt's initial impression of you was that you
came on. Tool. He thought I was a tool, dude.
I think he said you came on strong. What'd you say? What was your word choice? I forget.
Man, I don't honestly recall exactly what it was, but it was something like that.
Anyways,
exactly super fun.
He thought I was.
Knox is intense. Especially at that time.
You were so intense, dude. Like, you go on and off about these like crazy vape devices, and I was like, what?
But it was kind of a benefit to me because I didn't have customers, and Knox kept me a lot of company, and we talked for hours and hours and hours.
Didn't have customers. That's not true. You did have a couple here or there.
Couple a day. Couple hours.
I need a coil.
And Knox he was invaluable to the shops, and that's, I guess where our friendship blossomed, but to be honest, the shops wouldn't be anything what they are today without him. He knows that, and anyone who knows where we came from knows that. Just from keeping me company was cool, but just providing advice and suggesting what to get in and coming up with flavors and advising my customers, advising my employees, advising me, literally just invaluable. And
It's how you progressively move things forward.
I'm
Man.
glad you stuck around. Obviously I was joking when I was saying earlier. I'm glad you stuck around. Knox did leave us for a short period of time, a couple of times. One was for his previous job opportunity.
Yeah, I got well, because they called me and they offered me like all this shit,
Yeah.
and I was like, that sounds too good to pass up.
Couldn't even blame you.
9 months, right? I came to you and I talked to you as a man. I said, this is what is being offered on the table, blah 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 blah. And you were like, dude, I can't offer that to you right now. You should take it. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to take it. I thought about it for like another week, and then
this was something that you'd been doing for years before.
Right.
You came and worked for me for a year.
Right.
And then you went back.
I went back, and they lied. They lied, and I had made up like the whole concept of it was like I was going to get X amount of pay with X amount of hours, and
yeah, and then
none of that fucking.
A big one too was just benefits. Like that's why I said I couldn't blame you. You got benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It was a public or
they never actually gave me any benefits. There was no benefits. I could purchase benefits, but then they were not good.
So it was like shit health insurance.
Yeah, it was like shit health insurance. It was shit everything. Like the whole thing was shit. And I figured that out like after going back for a couple of months. But I was like, man, I'm gonna finish up doing what I'm doing, because I mean, dude, I'm kind of a man of my word. Like, I'm gonna do this. Okay, well, I'm gonna see this school year through. It's pretty much what it was. Because you remember, like, the first day out of the school or whatever, I walked back in the shop after you had to get remodeled and shit. I was like, dude, this looks dope as fuck, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, so now you're off? I was like, no, I'm done with that period altogether, dude. Like, I didn't even know what I was going to do at that point in time. I just knew that I wasn't going to go back and work for him because, like, I don't like being lied to. It's a respect thing. I can't fucking, you know what I mean? So, and I figured with having the summer off or whatever, I could figure something out in that couple of months. People were like, I think I have a plan.
Those were good times back then.
So then Knox came back, and then we were growing, and we grew more. Knox managed the shop floor.
Mm-hmm.
He's had basically every position, as similarly Kurt has, and I have, and a lot of other people, or a few other people, I guess. Not
I just do what I need to do. But.
And he managed the shop floor, did a great job because he's a wealth of knowledge. Like, basically, to explain Knox from our point of view, Knox was like born to sell vape shit, and
Knox was just born to sell.
He was born to sell, and he has a passion for vaping. He's been vaping longer than pretty much anyone I know. He has a great memory. So as vaping took off, and there was all these branches and sub branches of devices, like literally hundreds and hundreds of devices through the years.
Has it been 10 years?
Vaping wise?
Yeah. Have you been
It's
vaping?
Actually
11?
Should be over 10.
It's
Since you started vaping.
okay, since I started vaping, it's been
Since you first vape.
okay. Since I first vaped, that would be in the later part or the middle of 2008 is when I got my first little cig-like thing. So I mean, yeah, we're looking at
11 and a half.
pretty close to pretty.
Almost.
Well, I mean,
Or
come
11.
come July, dude. I think we're looking at like 12 years of me vaping. But I do want. I always say this, man. I want to elaborate on that shit because like everybody's like, oh man, dude, we've been vaping for a really long time. Yeah, I did not quit smoking though until 2011.
3 years after you started vaping.
Right,
or
but
first
that's
tried to
because
vape.
everything kind of sucked. It really sucked. Like it really fucking sucked, dude. Like I don't even know how to explain it to people. Like I love it when people are like, "Oh, remember the old days with the C4 tanks and the Eagle batteries?" You're like, nah, bitch, that was a come up. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't.
There were older
shit,
days.
dude. They're like when they talk about that. That's what I literally used to quit smoking. Right? Like now you're talking about when I remember getting a CE4 tank and a fucking Eagle battery and being like, this is all I'm ever gonna need. You know what I mean? So like when people are like, oh, I remember those days, those ain't the fucking days.
And what I remember is way beyond that, and that was even like the Nautilus or when the Atlantis came out, and that was years ago to a lot of vapors, but that was halfway,
Dude,
Most vapors.
that was not
Most
those
vapors
like,
don't even
I want everybody to understand something, okay, when it comes to like the sub-ohm tank genre or just tanks in general where they stand right now. The Nautilus was the door opener for that entire subgenre, man. Of like
and they blasted through, and then the Atlantis.
I mean, as soon as they figured out, because so now this is the thing that you gotta understand about the Nautilus. When the Nautilus first came out, man, it had a different coil than what the Nautilus is known for having now. When the Nautilus came out, it was running 2 horizontal coils. Okay, so it would be one like position like this and the other one position like that. So
it was pretty trash.
That way it was coming in differently. And it was good, but it wasn't like great. And then somebody over there at Aspire was like, what if we just made one coil that went down the middle and we just tucked it all in there? And
The bottom vertical
changed everything.
Vertical coil.
Which changed
EVCs,
everything.
baby.
Yep. That changed literally everything.
Well, it not. I mean,
there was a lot of things that changed everything, but that was one of the things that changed everything.
Well, it's the thing is too is that like people have to understand. Like, I love it when I talk to people now because people are like, well, you know, like you go for brand names or whatever, you know, and Smoke has made themselves like huge in like the vaping world for making like, you know, hey, we make 56 color of every single fucking mod that we make, but hey, all of our mods are exactly the fucking same.
It's fascinating. Like when you look at the business models, it's fascinating just from like a business standpoint.
Yeah, like I'm more when it comes down to like brand names, I'm down to use something that's less known but higher quality.
There's a quality, you get quality or you get variety, and then you get price. You know, there's always those 3 things. In this case, with Smoke or Smoke, you get the variety, Aspire, you get quality.
Quality, super quality.
As a general.
And that's what I used to tell people all the time. Like
products.
I remember watching how Smoke was playing out everything and how they were running it, and I knew something was up. I mean, when they came out with the TFE4, I was like, all right, that's cool, it's a come up. You know what I mean? But then they popped out with the TFE8, then they went with the 12, and there was the baby beast, the big baby beast. They just kept popping
the colors and the style.
They just kept popping them out. I mean,
what was the pinnacle of that? What was that called? The mod that they just
the alien.
The alien.
The alien is literally what put. Because I mean,
that was another game changer.
Well, Smoke had been around, dude. Smoke had been around for like God knows how many years, man, making cheap subpar mods for like ever, but
for over 5 years, 5, 6.
Oh, dude,
probably closer to 10.
Dude, yeah, like, dude, they were, and then they came out with the Alien, and it was compact, dual battery, and honestly, man, the first versions of like, I want to say like the first and the second round of Aliens that came into the US, solid. They were fucking solid. Were they like super accurate? No. Were they super fast? No, but like, let's be honest, nothing at that time, unless you were rocking like a DNA or a Yeehee chip, none of that shit was fast. Like, you know what I mean? Your response time was always going to be slow.
How does that break down then with the factories? Because it was what? Smock or they had or have 3 factories, and it was a quality process where first run went through factory 1, and basically once they got it popularized, they moved it to factory 2 and 3,
right?
Where they pump shit out quicker with lower quality, and then probably just had a larger variety in factory 2 and 3.
You also saw the biggest change was quality check cards. That was like one of the biggest things. Like when you would first get quality check cards coming out of like China and their products, like you could tell that somebody actually had stamped that shit. Like it was, there's it is, and quality approval. But then they just started printing them out and just throw them in a box for comfort levels.
Right.
And so I mean, you could see where it was going. And once they started coming out with like umpteen million colors of it, you were like, oh yeah, quality's gonna go way, way down.
Just the I'm grateful that I've gotten to witness China's ability to manufacture and clone so quickly. Just like witness what China's capable of and what it's done to the industry.
Oh yeah, dude.
Basically, you know, it's a Chinese started industry.
Yep.
I mean, vaping was patented in like the 65 or like the 60s. It was popularized more recently in China in 07.
Yep.
So it's a Chinese started company, which of course explains a lot of the Chinese influence, but you know, just seeing the American companies and the American quality, you know, especially when it comes to hardware versus China, where they'll pump it out or they'll do the 3 factory thing. Where they come out with a great design, factory 1, and then move it to factory 2 and 3, where less quality control.
Yep.
Let's pump out a variety of colors and, you know, just meaningless things, lights, vibrations.
Oh man,
the shit we saw, alarms,
fucking tanks, dude.
Yeah, light in a tank.
Like, hey, you know what we're gonna do? But So this thing, it holds liquid. Yeah, we're gonna stick a fucking light in it. Fuck.
Yeah, just and we and largely because of Knox, we were aware of all of this crazy shit as it was happening, and we got a lot of the new stuff, cool stuff in. What was cool at the time, but really it was just wacky. Like even to date, they're still coming out with stuff, and most recently, the wilder one I can think of is a vape watch. Smart comes out with a vape watch, so it's literally a watch with a built-in vape in it. They're still doing that shit.
You're talking. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Was that Smart or you?
No, that was you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was you.
Smart.
And
Smart.
dude, it's like okay. So now this is where we are now. Okay, as far as that goes, like innovation has gone way down. They're not doing it anymore. They're not innovating anything new. They're not adding anything, and they're just running.
Currently, yes.
They're literally at this point.
Yeah,
They're just
it's like
running. They're running. They're just. It's just a cycle.
Overall, what's incredible with you is that you got to see the birth of the industry, and you're here wherever this is. If this is the peak or the middle or the end, no one really knows. And you followed it all the way through.
Yeah.
A lot of people came in recently, with the Juul, or even before that. We have been in for, we started vaping years ago, but I'd say we've been in it, researching for 6 years, 6 years at this point. But we don't even have the full glimpse as Knox does. So he's seen the birth of this industry, the innovation. He remembers when the flavor grape came out.
That's actually what I used to quit, man.
Yeah. He remembers when flavors came out, like period. Like people say, I remember when, Tropicana fruit, that I remember the high C flavor come out. Knox remembers when grape came out. Like he was there when tobacco existed.
Dude, literally, I tell people that all the time. When they're like, you remember the old days when you had, watermelon and raspberry, and you're like combined? And they're like, yeah, I was like, dude, when I started vaping, my choices were if they literally called it, this is literally what I had, okay? I could get menthol.
Which is still fucking solid.
Okay, I could get menthol. I could get something that they were calling Cowboy, or I could get Cowboy Light, or Menthol Cowboy. Woo! Wow. That was my selection.
And that's pretty much what your selection has come back to.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what they're pushing for.
Now, so that was 2008? Are you saying that far back, 2008?
No. I mean, even when I first got on to...
for years later, it was
I was gonna say, honestly, yeah, that would have to go back because they already had flavors by the time I got to CE4. The first thing that I had experienced the flavor grape on was Encore Cigalikes. They actually had menthol, they had tobacco, they had a light tobacco, they had vanilla, and they had grape. And I was like, that's the reason why, dude, I literally ran over, not shitting you, I ran over when I found out that Tinderbox had them because they had the flavor grape. And I went over there and I bought the deluxe kit, which was $200 and something odd fucking dollars, man. I got 2 tiny little fucking batteries, right? And a whole package of 3, it was 3 little things for each flavor. And I was like, I'm ready to do this.
What's so powerful about Knox as a vape salesman is that he knows better than anyone, nearly anyone that, in existence, but from firsthand experience, how important the device and flavors are to the experience.
Seriously.
Because he did not quit with the shittier devices, with the tobacco, menthol flavors. He didn't quit until he found a device and or flavor that he felt comfortable with, that he could fully transition to, and he's been vaping ever since. Not a cigarette since.
No,
not a single cigarette that I know of.
But here's the thing, okay? So what it is when it comes right down to the flavors or whatever, when it comes down to flavors, and I can only speak from my own personal experience. But the one thing that I figured out is that while they were trying to imitate actual tobaccos that were on the market, they're not going to taste like a cigarette, but they're going to be close enough to remind you, and they're not going to hit the way that a cigarette does. So on a psychological note, a flavor that's trying so hard to taste like something that's very familiar to you only makes you want to use
substitute.
Right.
You need something completely different.
Where at that point you're just you know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to have a cigarette because that's actually what I'm craving right now.
Right.
And I don't give a shit. I've been a good boy. I've used my little vaporizer for 2 hours. It's time for me to have a real cigarette.
That makes
And
like just wording it like that even makes sense. It's the flavor's trying too hard to be a cigarette. You need something different because. And people, I've seen that firsthand because Kurt and I never smoked cigarettes, but we've been vaping and we've helped hundreds, thousands of people quit. And I've seen that firsthand with people that they'll come to us thinking at first, no, I need a tobacco. I need something that's similar because, I don't like flavors. Typically older folk, but I don't like flavors. I want a tobacco. I want a menthol. Don't give me that fruity stuff. And I've seen that firsthand that eventually, not all of them, but many of them will come back and go with the flavors because they realize I actually like vaping, but still it tastes bad still. Why wouldn't I want to taste something good at this point? It still reminds me of cigarettes. It's too close.
Here's the thing, man, and this is what I usually do, okay, when it comes down to, like, let's just say that somebody walks in the shops and they're trying to quit smoking. I will legitimately ask them, like, there's a couple of questions, okay? So first thing I say is, well, how often are you smoking, or how many cigarettes do you smoke a day? Find out what they're at, so that way I can figure out what kind of like potency they're gonna need. Then I ask them for like, what are you thinking? Do you want something small? Do you want, I get into that thing. But when it comes right down to the flavor, if they say, well, I want something that tastes like a tobacco, I explain to them that in all good sense that like you can use a tobacco, and I'm not telling you can't. I mean, tobacco flavors can be really well done.
Absolutely.
But what I usually suggest, at least at our shop, if somebody wants to use a tobacco and they're dead set on it, I usually tell them to go with like Canyon, because it's got those notes in there, like that caramel, that vanilla, that little hint of apricot on the back. Still tastes kind of like a tobacco, but it gets that flavor in there because that gets them just far enough away from it tasting exactly like a cigarette so that they can actually accomplish what they're trying to do.
Now, what's crazy about that is that they're trying to ban even a flavor like Canyon, which is a flavored tobacco. It's a caramel apricot tobacco or honey tobaccos. There's literally legislation that has been passed, or it may have been passed, or that was proposed, that suggests that police officers should squeeze, basically open the liquid container, smell it, and if it smells like anything other than tobacco, confiscate it. So if they open this bottle of Canyon, which is caramel apricot tobacco, and they smell too much caramel or apricot, they're supposed to confiscate it. Or go into shops and shut them down, or pull that off the shelf.
When it comes to that, what it comes right down to at this point is overstepping.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I am drinking a Tecate. I can have Mike's Hard Lemonade, cranberry, or I could have, stout. I could have many, many different beers, many different alcoholic beverages, many different things that taste different. I can go and I can get different flavored cigars, okay? This is overreaching, it's overstepping. How are you going to tell somebody as, like me, like I'm a 40-year-old adult, and then all of a sudden you're going to tell me that I do not qualify to make a decision on what the fuck I want to consume.
Well, you're not hurting anyone else, but you can't have your flavored nicotine.
That would be one thing. That would be one thing if I was walking around and I was like, oh, vape, bro? You should vape, bro. But I'm not a vape douche, man. I don't do that shit. Like, I like to vape when I like it.
Vape douches are quite a nuisance, so yeah, but it's the only time that it's okay to pass legislation, in my opinion, that infringes on other people's rights or what they're doing, is when it's hurting other people, or they're maybe, the argument then can be made is, are they harming themselves too much? Are they, suicide's illegal, so nothing too harmful should be allowed. Well, if cigarettes are allowed, and alcohol flavors are allowed, and blunt flavors are allowed, then certainly vape flavors should be allowed.
The problem is I've heard some of the statements about adults not needing flavors, adults don't really need them. Then how come it is that adults buy more candy than anybody else, man?
We know better than anyone how much adults like flavors.
It's not like I turned 18, I got my ability to vote and buy cigarettes, and then I went into a restaurant and I said, hey, give me the blandest thing on your menu, whatever you do, don't make it taste like anything, because now I'm an adult and I hate when my stuff tastes like stuff.
Here's the thing. You guys may have witnessed this, maybe coming into offices in Springfield and DC, or if you go to any political office. One of my favorite things is going into any representative's office, which I know some of they're good people, but you'll see a bowl of candy on their desk, all kinds of candy flavors, and they'll tell you in your face, in front of the bowl of candy, that adults don't like flavors, or that the flavors are only made to appeal to kids. They won't necessarily adults don't like flavors, but they'll say flavors are only made to appeal to kids. That's not the case. We know that from the over 10,000 customers that we've served, and most of them getting, all of them adults, most of them getting flavored products.
Right. Well, I will say that at one point in time, the only thing that I can say that would be right in their perspective of everything is at one point in time, packaging was really, really fucking deceiving, dude. I mean, we had multiple conversations about it, and I remember talking to like multiple different distributors who were trying to convince me to carry like Candy Cane, and I was like, I will not. And they were like, when I was like, I do not like how they are presenting themselves. Their liquid might be good, dude, but the simple fact that they were literally making the package look exactly like the package of candy that they were trying to make it taste like.
Yep. Not with that package. Literally. And it does come down to just the brand.
It literally came right down to that. It's like if they would switch the way that they were appealing, all for it. Like I can see where on like brand packaging on some of that stuff they could say that like it was appealing to children.
Yes.
Right. You're talking
a sincere marketing issue, not for the sake of constituents.
Right. You're talking poppy colors. You're talking. It looks like either like cartoonish or it does literally look like a package of candy. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the only.
It's actually a lot.
I can say that I did the best that I possibly could to make sure, and I think I did a really good job to make sure that we never carried anything in the shop that ever looked like that. Like ours were really like I made sure that all of our stuff looked very adult. It was very adult irritated.
I would say like in all of these years, and we opened before the kid thing was an epidemic, quote unquote. In all of these years, we maybe had, because of course I was young at the time too, a couple or a few offensively, or suggestively branded juices. But obviously, as time went on, as we talked, I would say before you became manager, we were aware of that, and literally since the beginning, there's no particular brands I could pull out that would be like, yeah, we really shouldn't have carried that.
Okay, there was one accident that I can actually bring from.
Was that with the Finest?
Yep, candy. It was the candy shop. It was the candy shop. We literally had customers requesting it, and I hadn't seen their packaging. And the reason why I hadn't seen their packaging is because they had taken all their packaging down because they were reworking their packaging. Mm-hmm. And I ordered it, and they shipped us the old packaging. And when it came in, we all looked at it and were like, "No,
it was no better than Candy King."
No, and I had to call. I remember calling him back up. And being like, this isn't going to work. And they're like, what? I'm like, I can't put this on the shelf. I refuse to put this on the shelf.
Mm-hmm. I'm honestly really surprised at how few nicotine e-liquid related deaths have been observed realistically with
one that I know
of.
Yeah. One that I know.
I'm not saying that they haven't been.
No, I'm saying like one that I'm aware of and that we can look this up and verify. And that was like, that was
years
around
ago.
when I opened, so 5 or 6 years ago.
So I mean, realistically though, even if we look at it as being like a marketing problem, right? Like the way that it was marketed, we're still talking about larger corporations that were running like it was their fault, and they weren't touching with customer base. You can't look at people like us who operate in like a local area and sell to our local vaping community. You can't blame us for that because we don't. And in fact, you could go into our shops right now and we don't even have anything on there that I can say is like extremely outlandish. And I understand that packages have changed, but I mean, even some of the packaging still now that still gets me is that they're like, oh, we put down all these hard things, but some of these manufacturers still get away with like putting out these like crazy packages. And you're like, that is cool, but I would never put that in a storefront.
Yeah, I would say the vape shop retailers right now are one of the biggest deterrents to minors getting vape products. We turn minors away.
Dude, we turn.
Save for increasing accessibility.
It goes past that.
Right.
It goes.
That's
past
the real
that.
problem.
Okay, so what it really gets down to is not only do we turn minors away, but we'll turn away adults that bring in minors if the minor comes to the counter.
Yeah, tell that story about the drive-thru thing recently. That's a good one.
Well, first let me get another Tecate.
What would you like?
A Tecate. Yeah, it's like my favorite, literally my favorite Mexican beer.
I'm cool right now. I'll grab one in a sec.
But okay, so we have a customer, and it might be true, man.
Recently, we're just operating off of a drive-through at our McChesney location because of the coronavirus.
But there is a lady who comes through our drive-through or whatever, and her son is 19 years old, who's usually in the passenger seat when she orders her stuff, and he's literally. I won't
We're
sell her.
T21 state.
I won't sell to her.
We're 21 and upstate tobacco. Well, actually,
that's
federal.
everywhere.
Yeah,
so, it's federal.
Well, we were
T21
T21
everywhere.
Everywhere.
But we were there before it was a cool thing to do.
Was first of the year?
That's like what I say about
T21?
That's literally
It was around there.
That's literally what I say about the coronavirus. I'm like, I don't want to brag or anything, but I was washing my hands with soap and water before it was the in thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like before it was trending, dude, I was doing it already.
Just saying.
I'm not trying to brag. But
Someone's in the
that's all I'm saying.
Someone's in the passenger seat.
And he's 19 years old, and he's literally got his phone like this, and he's like reading off. And I'm pretty sure it's like a notepad, and she says that it's not for him.
Dude, how dumb do you have
But he's like reading off, and she's like looking at him, and then she'll go back, and then you're like, okay, and you type all that in.
Talking you through the window.
And that's fine. You type it all in. You're like, okay, yeah, and you bring all the products up or whatever, and you're like, okay, your total's going to be this, and I need to see yours and the passenger's ID. And she's like... And she's like straightforward with it, man. She's like,
I don't understand.
Well, he's only 19. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't sell you. And she's like, but it's not for him, it's for me. I was like, I understand that, but he's been talking this entire time and telling you what to order, which makes it a third party sale, which means I can't do this unless he's of age.
Mm-hmm.
And I've denied her. I've denied her probably twice, and she understands it, but she still does it. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, dude, we actually come really hard on it. So it kind of upsets me a little bit when people are like, well, vape shops, it's not us, man. Mm-hmm. It's not us.
No, dude,
all
it's
right?
I'm in sales.
Yeah,
that is where most minors
achieve. It's not us because we come very hard on it. We've got signs that literally say, we will not help you if you are under the age of 21, and if you are supplying for someone who is under 21.
Basically,
we will not sell you.
It comes down to if we suspect that you're supplying someone under 21, we
won't sell.
And there's no definition of like if we see you outside in the parking lot, if we know if you bring them with you and they're on the couch, if you're calling them and you're putting the order through. If there's any reason for us to suspect it in good faith, we're not going to sell to you.
Right. Well, it's even like a curbside right now. Like, you take our curbside. These are the extra measures that we take. Okay, so curbside, because nobody's allowed in the shops. We're not doing any foot traffic. We're not getting anybody in. Everybody's placing it on our website. Our inventory is on the website. So they order what they want. We bag it up. We staple the invoice to it, and we take it out to their vehicle. Right? But we still, on that, even with that, we're like, it has to be the person who placed the order, and we need ID to verify that, one, you're of age, two, you are that person.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's none of that, like, you can place an order under somebody else's name, coming in. Dude, I've denied somebody's wife.
Just to be a dick at that point.
No, it's not even being a dick. It's because here's where it comes right down to, okay? It comes down to, if you bend the rule for one person, you have to bend the rule for everyone else.
No, you're right. You're right. You got to uphold the rules. You know that well from the schools.
Yeah, you got to follow it. You got to follow the measure. You can't say, well, since you're there, I mean, it's not like that. It's like, you're going to need to tell your husband that he's going to have to come back to get this, because consistency, it breeds consistency. Right. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm consistent with the rules, if I'm consistent with the way that things are handled, people will eventually learn that, like, they have to be consistent with the way that they respond, or you have to make sure. And I don't want to hear that. I don't have time. Right now, a lot of people have the time. Mm-hmm. You just don't want to. You just don't want to show up.
Right.
Like, I'm glad that your wife was out picking up stuff. Right. But how about this? If you order something and you know that you got to go and pick it up, how about instead of sending your wife to go get some stuff, you get that stuff, you pick up your stuff, and then you go back home.
Yeah, or if you can't, have her order it or get it shipped to your house.
Yeah, right. Get it shipped to your house. That's a super.
I do want to say with all this that, you know, we're pointing a lot of fingers, and we're not perfect either.
Oh, no, definitely not. But
that's why we, one of the things that we've done with the shop, just to be blatant or just to be clear about things, we stopped running commercials on TV, and there was a couple of reasons for that. One of them was that they were slandering us with the EVALI outbreak, with the THC cartridge outbreak, where people were being hospitalized. They were slandering us in their news segments, and they were taking our money. The TV station was taking our money in the next, 30 seconds as we ran commercials. So
how's that for a sham?
Come on down to Marco's Vapor, and then the next segment was vaping is killing you, and literally to the extent where one of the news stations had old footage of my shop, and they used the old footage to bash us. It wasn't a news station we were advertising with, otherwise that would have been a problem. But it was another news station that I had consented to give footage of our shop previously for something entirely unrelated, and they were using the footage of our shop to basically say vaping is killing teenagers, stop vaping, we don't recommend you vape, instead of being, instead of reporting responsibly and saying this is probably THC cartridge, this is probably black
it was
market.
A cookie cutter sales story that got passed down the line.
Right, so they were bashing basically reputable vape shops, which no one, to my knowledge, got sick from buying any product from a reputable vape shop.
No.
To my knowledge, no one in the EVALI outbreak, I don't think there is a verified
that's
case.
been confirmed
by a single verified case.
By the CDC.
Every single EVALI case.
I'm just trying to be as fair about it as possible, because maybe some cases weren't reported. So I'm just saying, to my knowledge, anyone's knowledge, there's no reported cases.
I'm sure that circumstantially it fucked somebody up here or there, but.
Well,
people overdosing on nicotine or whatever, or maybe a shot mixing e-liquid incorrectly,
because you were already prone to that, whatever.
Yeah. So, we'd be paying a lot, and Kurt deals with the accounting and the numbers, paying all kinds of money to run ads on TV, like an advertiser. And basically, the station we were running with and other stations were bashing vape shops and vaping and saying vaping's going to kill you and stop vaping immediately, essentially. And now we know, obviously, it was black market THC cartridges, so it's all come kind of full circle. So we stopped.
Full circle, but it doesn't get blown up.
No,
it's just
of course not. Yeah, they just stopped talking about it. They just stopped talking about it.
Oh, so it was actually not.
Yeah, we were completely wrong and using vape shop footage and blaming
remorse.
vaping. It's.
No, that's the thing.
No
they don't have to. They
illegal
don't have,
THC cartridges.
Yeah, they don't. And that's
no
the problem,
major
that they were
outlet
able
is going to report that.
They were able to do all that negative damage without
any reparations.
Yep, they didn't have to apologize. They didn't have to say we were wrong. And you know what really what is the most upsetting for that situation, to me at least, is that the CDC already knew the percentages of people that had already openly admitted to it being THC, that were already going through the symptoms, and they did the American people a disservice by stating that it was vaping in general. So then everybody's like, well, I'm taking a risk no matter what.
And by
they literally
creating
broke
hysteria
protocol.
And fear, kind of like this Corona thing, except this one's actually legitimate. It would be like the media freaking out about the coronavirus, but it turns out the coronavirus was literally just like the influenza.
Yeah. And so this is why I was getting into a conversation with someone who said, I'm a nurse and I'm going to believe the hospital, the FDA, and the CDC before I believe you, which I can understand why she would say that, but I don't believe in the FDA, CDC, or even the hospitals at this point, because I've seen them fail us. Yeah, we'll take them as a source, of course.
Okay.
But no, don't trust them. Take them as a source.
And especially with what they report and what information gets out there first and what types of stories are built with that just disgusting hysteria attached to it. That was a really terrible thing to witness on all fronts with that whole.
And we were on the receiving end, of course.
And everybody in the industry felt the exact same way. There wasn't people.
All of our friends.
Nobody in the vape industry was like, "Oh damn, this stuff that I'm doing is actually." No, dude, they already knew that shit. Nobody was listening
the entire time.
Everybody, not one of your all of the people that freaked out about that and got wound up about it and went telling, "Oh yeah, I know that you vape. You see that stuff's killing people." Nope, it never fucking rolled over. There was no remorse for that. There was no cover-up story or like, "Hey, sorry guys, we
and
just
the vape industry was screaming it the whole time."
Every single vapor that was adamant about it it got to the point where it was ridiculous. That's all you would hear from people, left and right. Oh yeah, so and so tells me to stop vaping.
Well, dude,
but
honestly,
it's complete bullshit.
You know what's funny is because you said I don't trust the CDC, the FDA,
Fact.
or the hospitals, and I can honestly say that from just personal experience and experiences that you've had with me. And you've had with me, even the hospitals are confused at how to handle vaping.
Can you pull up
in any way, shape, or form?
The CDC confirming that every single case of E-Valley has been correlated to non-nicotine based vapes, please?
No, well, that's not even necessarily the case. There are cases that there was nicotine vapes involved, and the CDC's general consensus is the people who said I just vape nicotine are liars, but they're not going to put that on their website. So they say that it's very, there's a very high percentage of the cases involve THC, but they're not going to say that the people who said I never vape THC but actually came down with EVALI were fucking liars. Which
they had some overwhelming statistics.
And to be fair, people lied for that, and I know literal personal cases of this. Kids, victims who, got a tainted THC cartridges, they lied because, first of all, they didn't want to get in trouble by their parents, their school, and literally scholarships and, their careers.
Over here.
Yes, we're still in prohibition era, and, vaping or smoking or consuming THC is illegal.
I got a question down here. Can Curtis get another Tecate?
No, dude.
No, dude.
Thought you were about to.
And so I'm just saying I understand why a lot of them would have lied about it, because they may have not lived in a legal state, or they may have had a scholarship on the line, or they may have gotten kicked out of the house. But they did.
No, that's not it. That's old. They were still looking into it at that time.
Yeah.
That's them naming it EVALI.
EVALI.
All right, so what else?
Which sounds like a drug that they would come out with that would help males with ED. Which is kind of funny that they got to call it ED, they can't just say what it is, erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to put that up.
And you know what? Another important thing with the EVALI thing.
I'm not trying to say that it's okay, but if you can't get it up, maybe you shouldn't be getting it up.
I think that,
you know what I'm saying? You want to pass that train on? I don't think so.
Before we rip the smithereens, this is a very serious disease. And it's actually extremely unfortunate that cannabis is still in the position where it's at federally, and that is what caused this EVALI stuff. The inaccessibility,
as well as misinformation.
Yes, but the inaccessibility to professionally made cannabis products literally kills people.
Kids.
Not even
not
just
to
kids.
pull at heartstrings, but younger people.
Not even just
younger
kids.
people were especially affected by this. Corona, it's older people. EVALI was younger lives largely because younger people were vaping THC. And, the CDC's misinformation, the media's misinformation literally cost lives. So my point in getting into all of that was that we pulled our advertisement money from the TV stations for that reason. And we met good reps, and they're overall good people, but fuck the mainstream media. And then another reason we pulled advertising was that we took a unique advertising approach years ago, 2014, 2015. We ended up, purchasing TV advertising spots, and we did jingles. And the first one, you guys can look them up. The first one started off with "Come on down to Marco's favorite."
Well, at first they were informative, actually.
They were informative.
All right, you're right. No, you're right. Let me
Let's be real. We actually did try to go with education at first, and people did not.
And we all know how that works. Nobody likes education.
Right.
No, a little virus comes up, it's the first thing we got.
Right. So we tried to straight up educate people in multiple ways. And one of the ways we did question and answer. So we did, how does vaping work? And then one of our employees answered. And we didn't do the best with it. But anyways, we did a jingle, which was very well received.
It was super well received.
And we found that worked for us. And it's a cute little jingle. So we made a few little jingles since then, and they're good. And I think they've come out progressively pretty decent.
That's probably the single most complimented thing that you've ever done with your life, Marco.
Yes.
If you separated shop compliments, that one definitely gets the most.
Bro,
for my business career.
Anything. Literally the most complimented thing that you've done in your life.
Dude, I told you guys.
It was great, man.
I used to go into a pizza joint to get pizza for my family, and I'd be wearing a Marco's Vapor t-shirt or something, And one of the guys literally would sit there the entire time, and it happened numerous times. It was so annoying. He's like, "You was vapor? You worked there?" Like every time he would act like this was a new conversation we were having. You worked there, and I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Come on down, Markley." I watch that all the time. I'm like, "Wow, man, you have like
it actually
no
worked
worries, bro."
to put a positive.
Like I go home every night and I watch your jingle. It's like that's weird. You know what I mean?
People are weird about that shit too, man.
And basically, it was, I think, a pretty cute jingle. We did the Boone County Fair, which that was when it really hit me that it got out there, you know? We had literally dozens of people walking by. We had a booth.
And that was over a year.
And I witnessed older people singing our jingle coming by like, "Hey, you're that guy." And they were all excited about it. So we've come out. So obviously it worked for us in that just, you know, as Knox has brought us to where we're at today, that jingle helped bring us to where we're at today. And it was successful.
That jingle definitely was like nitrous, bro.
So on top of us, you know, refusing to support fake news channels and, you know, taking our ad off of it for that reason, I will say that another reason is that I want to market responsibly as much as possible. In this climate, as touchy as things are, the way things are, we shouldn't be advertising jingles. And, you know, not even just as touchy as things are. This is being played in living rooms. It's a hot topic. Kids are already vaping. We don't need to do anything to further that.
There's no age censoring.
So we pulled the jingles, and, you know, just that's me saying that, you know, we're not perfect about it. We've made mistakes in the past. We've always been aware of the minor issue. It's become more of a problem more recently, and now we're hyper aware of it. And I think I can speak for a lot of Illinois shop owners because I know a lot of Illinois shop owners, and I can say that we're on the same page on that. Anyone who's in it now is taking this seriously.
Oh, yeah.
With the exception of, there's a few exceptions, and then there's the convenience store exception where they're not the vape industry. But I know the Illinois vape industry very well. As a matter of fact, we're having Vicky V come on Tuesday if she can make it.
Oh, she's awesome,
and
dude.
Vicky owned the first brick and mortar vape shop in Illinois, one of the first in the country, and she's the reason we're still vaping in Illinois. And she's one of the most impressive, revered advocates in the country.
I've actually witnessed her.
Sorry, the world's.
Yeah.
You're probably in a flood zone.
Is it flood or is it corona?
Tornado warning.
Oh, there's a tornado warning.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's cool. They just put that on. There's a tornado warning for the next 40 minutes.
Anyways, Vicky's really awesome, and we're going to have her on after the tornado.